Good morning. Welcome to White River Buddhist Temple's Ho-Onko Service, or the memorial service for our founder, Shinran Shonin. My name is Charles Natsuhara, and I will be chairing this morning's service. Throughout the service, we encourage you to engage in the chat with other attendees and let us know where you're watching from. As a reminder, we are continuing to work through the technical aspects of streaming, so please bear with us as we learn and adjust. With that said, we will get started with our service with our opening meditation. Please, Gasho. Do not vainly lament, but realize that nothing is permanent and learn from it the emptiness of human life. Do not cherish the unworthy desire that the changeable might become unchanging. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. This morning, we will chant Sambu Jo, followed by Jusei Ge, led by Reverend Ward.
Bujo Mida Nyorai Niudo Yo Chan Ye Bujo Shaka Nyorai Niudo Yo Chan Ye Mujo Jipo Nyorai Niudo Yo Chan Ge 願一心不浄土悲願不満足政府上昇がお無量行不意大聖衆不再小便具政府上昇が史上仏道妙所長寺法空教未正門政府上昇が微欲人少年上映衆門行四具無浄土一生天人師人力縁大公無償無才道少女三苦名交際集約難回避地永遠滅死根無安閉塞小白道通達全宗門高僧上満足意養老寺法日月修十期天候音符言一周解放像公正功徳法上王大集中説法施施空不要一切仏具足修徳本元年失上満徳意三概要両仏無下地通達に不詳願学営利投資最小尊志願や効果大仙を感動国書天人とうち妙見ナマンダンブナマンダンブナマンダンブナマンダンブナマンダンブナマンダンブ願にしくどく平等性際道本菩提心往生あらナマンダナマメダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダ
Please join me in the reading of the Threefold Refuge. The reading will be displayed on your screen. The Threefold Refuge. Difficult is it to receive human form, now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the Dharma of the Buddha? Now we hear it. If we do not cross over to the truth in the present life, in what life shall we cross over? Let us, with sincerity and true reverence, take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in the Buddha. May we together with all sentient beings awaken to the great way of enlightenment and to the unsurpassed intent of Amida Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. May we together with all sentient beings become units. Sentient beings enter the storehouse of the Dharma, becoming like the wisdom ocean. I take refuge in the Sangha. May we together with all sentient beings become units in true accord and harmony with all beings. The peerless, profound, and wondrous Dharma is rare to encounter, even in many hundreds and thousands of kalpas. Now we are privileged to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of the Tathagata's teaching. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you. Now we will have a Dharma message from Reverend Warwick.
Namanda, 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 namanda. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our service today, and thank you for joining us. Please join me in Gasho for a reading from Shinran. Although my body will pass away, forever my teaching shall survive, as fresh as the green grass of Wakanouro Bay. So long as human beings live, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. I feel like an old car this morning, having trouble getting started. But last week I was working on a computer at home that I plan on, it's an older computer, and I plan on modifying it slightly and using it for Zooming, meditation, and other services and recording and things like that, rather than having to switch computers around, try to make something a little more permanent, easier to work with. So my grandson came over and for a short visit, and he asked me, as he normally does, he says, hey, Ji-chan, do you need help? Do you need any kind of help from me today? And so lately I've been encouraging him to use his hands and his fingers to do things other than text and type. You know, things like raking leaves, mowing the grass, driving nails, and using a screwdriver. On that day, he saw that I was having a little bit of a battle trying to install a screw in the right place. So he puffed out his chest and he said, let me do that. I can do it. And I reminded him, I said, that's a grounded screw and it needs to be correctly tightened. I got this. I got this, Ji-chan, don't worry. So wanting to encourage him, I said, hey, go for it. Sure, please go ahead. After about 2 turns, he said, that's as tight as I can get it. Well, it was tight, but it wasn't installed correctly. It was cross-threaded. We had to remove 11 other screws along with the circuit board to correct the mistake. On that day, I learned that I need to be a better teacher, and he learned something that sometimes it takes more than just confidence to get a job done. And you know, as toddlers, we were full of energy and full of curiosity. We tried to master many, many skills like walking and talking and climbing. But having a can-do attitude throughout our lives, I say by having a can-do attitude throughout our lives, we've mastered many, many skills and we've overcome a lot of obstacles. Some were easy to master or overcome. Some were difficult, and some seemed almost impossible. So like us, Shinran Shonin's life too was filled with skills to master and obstacles to overcome. By the time he was 9 years old, he had lost both of his parents. This pain and suffering, along with being an orphan, prompted him to ask his guardian uncle to allow him to become a Buddhist monk. When he was presented at the temple for ordination, it was late in the day, and the ordination was scheduled for the following day. His desire to become a monk was so great that he wrote a poem and presented it to the abbot. He wrote, "Like cherry blossoms that are the hearts that tomorrow they think they might, for who can tell, but there may be a tempest in the night." So he was saying that the cherry blossoms, although they're beautiful and hanging on the trees, if the wind blows, they fall to the earth. And he didn't want to delay his ordination any longer. So the abbot was so impressed with that young man that he ordained him on the spot, not waiting until the next day as scheduled. And with this can-do attitude, Shinran began his studies to become a Buddhist monk. Under various scholars, he devoted himself to learning the philosophy of the Mahayana Buddhism, especially of the Tendai sect. At times, he went to Nara and Horyuji Monastery for research in Theravada teachings. Year after year, his study progressed and his priestly rank rose accordingly, until at length he was appointed to the chief abbot of the Shoko-in monastery at the age of only 25. Despite all this success, Shinran was not satisfied. He couldn't yield to the temptation of occupying a conspicuous place as a high priest, for he found himself to be an ordinary-minded man, full of lust and passion, and he didn't feel like he deserved this high rank or position. His purpose in becoming a monk was not to gain fame or to become a high priest. His was to discover a way of deliverance from this imperfect world for the sake of all people. And that's the highest ideal of the Mahayana teachings. And having found his 20 years of living on Mount Hiei as a miserable failure, he determined to seek the true way. He found that attaining liberation with a can-do and a got this attitude was in this decadent age impossible for him. He felt his position on the Mount Hiei, or rather, he left his position on Mount Hiei, and in time he found his master Honen, who taught the innermost meaning of the doctrine of salvation through Amida Buddha. Today our service honors Shinran Shonin, our master in Jodo Shinshu Buddhism, who lived in Japan 1173 to 1263. Like ourselves, he lived in a time of war, anxiety, and great human suffering. In order to bring the freedom and the emotional release of the Buddhist message to the ordinary lay people of his day, he greatly simplified the Buddhist teachings. Now, following the lead of his master Honen Shonin, Shinran taught that Buddhist enlightenment could be attained through the easy path of reciting the name of Buddha Namo Amida Butsu, with a sincere mind aspiring for birth. The birth he spoke of was birth in the Pure Land at the time of our human death. Shinran taught that conditions in the human world had become so corrupt that it was no longer possible for ordinary people to achieve enlightenment through their own efforts. Monks and holy sages might be able to carry out sufficient religious practice in the dark age of Mappo, the age of decline. But most of us, including Shinran himself, could not. We must rely on the transferred merit coming to us across eons and eons, or kalpas and kalpas of time, from the great practice of Amida Buddha. So the religious stories of our Shin Buddhism all emphasize that there is no self-effort practice necessary for us to be born in the Pure Land at our human death. or to experience the Pure Land mind during our human life. All that is required is the recitation of Namo Amida Butsu, entrusting ourselves to the power of the primal vow. So to close my short talk today, once again, would you please join me in Gassho? Shinran Shonin has not vanished into another world. He lives among mankind in order to guide them into the presence of Amida Buddha. And rightly he has said, although my body will pass away, forever my teaching shall survive, as fresh as green grass of Wakanawa Bay, so long as human beings live. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida, Namo Amida. Thank you so much for listening to my message today, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you, Sensei, for your Dharma message. At this time, we will read the Jodo Shinshu Creed together. The words will also be displayed on the screen. Please follow along. The Jodo Shinshu Creed. Entrusting the vow of the Buddha and reciting the sacred name, I shall proceed through the valley of life with strength and joy. Revering the light of the Buddha, reflecting upon my imperfect self, I shall strive to live a life of gratitude. Following the teachings of the Buddha, discerning the right path, I shall spread the true Dharma. Rejoicing in the compassion of the Buddha, respecting and aiding one another, I shall do my best to work towards the welfare of society. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you. Today, we are fortunate to have a musical recording of Ondoku-san 2, performed by Don and Judy Gardner. Please join us in singing along as the words will be displayed on your screen. Thank you, Don and Judy. We all appreciate all of your musical talents. Before we end today's service, I'd like to make a few announcements. As a friendly reminder, in-person temple operations remain suspended indefinitely. Your safety is our top concern, and we're working hard to find virtual opportunities to engage our Sangha. Following today's service, we will have our annual Shinenkai New Year's party. The link to the Zoom event can be found in the email that was sent out yesterday, or using the button at the page at wrbt.org/service. So please join us for our Shinenkai party. All service dates and links can be found on the temple calendar or at our website. Our next virtual service will be next Sunday, January 24th at 10:30 a.m. Our next virtual Timeless Favorites cooking class will be next Saturday, January 23rd at 11 a.m. Kelsey Asato will be the instructor teaching us how to make andagi Okinawa donuts. Please register online at wrbt.org/timeless favorites. Our next virtual book club meeting will be on Sunday, February 7th at 7 p.m. We will be discussing the book Being Mortal. More details can be found at our website, wrbt.org/book club. Finally, if you don't already do this, please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and our website for the latest information. Those are all the announcements at this time. So please, Agasho for closing meditation. Do not seek to know Buddha by their form and attributes, for neither the form nor attributes are the real Buddha. The true Buddha is enlightenment itself. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Before we close today, I want to thank Reverend Ward and Rona for helping to set up, Don and Judy for the music, and Kendall and Valerie for managing the IT. All of your contributions make today's service possible. Thank you for all for joining us for today's virtual service, and we hope to see you at our Shinenkai party. Take care. Thank you.